Let's move on now, and taking the centre stage today with its rate decision is the European Central Bank, of course. Its Governor Mario Draghi is expected to detail the plan to buy asset-backed securities. According to a Reuters poll, the ECB is likely to purchase a total of 200 billion euros of asset-backed securities over a year. The decision follows weak September PMI data from the Eurozone, which showed that factory activity hit a 14-month low. And for the first time, Germany auctioned a 10-year bond below 1%, just ahead of that keenly watched ECB meeting. All right, let's get more now on that meeting and events with James Mirrlees, 1996 Nobel Memorial Prize Laureate winner in Economic Sciences and currently professor at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. He joins us here with Lim Se-boon of DBS Group Wealth Management. Sir, let me start with you, James, first of all. ECB, later on today, there's only so much that monetary policy can do to cure Europe's ills. Have I got it right, or is the ball now in the court of the sovereigns to really get moving on structural reform?
No, I think you have it right. Really, there's not very much, in my view, that monetary policy can achieve in the very short run. I mean, the whole thing is to get business investment going again. Not only business investment, but selling houses, all that kind of stuff. Why are people reluctant to do that? Well, primarily because they don't think that European prospects are too good. You can't, you just might get people to change their opinion if they believed that monetary policy would really work. And the trick is, how can you get them to believe that when it really hasn't been working very well?
It seems like what we're seeing around the world is this conflict between monetary policy and deflation. It seems what they're trying to do through quantitative easing, whether we're talking the US or Japan or eventually the euro area, is they're trying to cheapen their currencies to overcome deflation.
Yeah, what quantitative easing is doing is pulling down the long run rate of interest. So it's making investing cheaper. Borrowing should cost people less, particularly if they do it through stock markets.
But does it not also cheapen currencies by rotation? First the US and now the euro. Are there any net gains?
Yeah, I think in some ways currency fluctuations are, as usual, quite unpredictable. So actually, I don't think that's a large part of but it creates uncertainty.
It seems that Mr. Draghi has opened the door or is preparing the markets for an orthodox monetary policy via QE. At what point is he going to embark and bite the bullet and go down that road of fully fledged QE? Is Europe in such a parlous state that he needs to do that?
Well, there's a lot of doubt as to whether QE achieves very much. And I have the feeling that pushing interest rates down further isn't really what's wanted. People should be getting a better return on their saving.
So is the provision
it's true that if we start getting deflation, then they really would be.
Is it the provision of cheaper loans through the LTRO program that's the way forward?
Well, that's fine if people take them up. Yeah. As always, how do we ensure that the loans are loans for real investment in bricks and mortar and machines?
We're just on that. Do you think
vehicles.
the ECB has attached enough conditionality on those cheap loans to ensure that they don't go into banks just subsidising capital?
I think
capital formation.
That's a good plan, but somebody's got to do it. So there has to be demand for investment as well as supply of the funds.
But many are saying that Europe faces years of stagnation anemic growth. I don't get the sense it's going to relapse back into the dark old days of the debt crisis. But is that a fair assessment, that Europe faces years of stagnation?
It seems to me the question is what's going to be happening to demand, or perhaps more important, what people expect is going to happen to demand. And we get into a cycle where if people don't think that Europe's going to get out of this, that it won't. We've been fiddling around for a while and not really doing what's needed. And we see that Germany is still having a very restrictive fiscal policy. Well, I think it necessarily comes back to fiscal policy taking a very different stance.
But that's the real challenge, isn't it? That a dilemma that a lot of these policymakers are facing. Do you turn on the fiscal taps, or should you really adopt more austerity and cut spending? How do you reconcile those two conflicting dynamics?
You don't. You've got to grit your teeth and say that in the short run, debt's going to have to increase. Monetary expansion, of course, is exactly what you want to see in current circumstances, with the risk of actual deflation.
So more austerity, not less. More austerity, not
less
less.
austerity.
Less austerity.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Understood.
I think necessarily it's the real demands on the economy that are going to create getting out of things. At least the policy of being restrictive about how loans can be used should be a help. But it's not a help until the demand actually emerges. And it's not going to, so long as Germany and Northern Europe follow these austerity policies.
We're going to leave it there, sir. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. James Mirrlees there from the University of Cambridge, and Say Boone stays with us.